So welcome back to Mrs. Wizard's Way, and this is installment, I guess, 1 on my channel for our Wanderlodge. This is our 77 Wanderlodge that is an upgrade transition from the Transit Easy Rider bus that was in my last video. I had a little bit of work in here, had a little bit of time to kind of see, hey, what's here, what's not, what do I need to address? And one of the first things I did was I made a floor plan. I drew everything out. I figured out where's everything, where do we have outlets, how big are the drawers, and I can have that then at home or here. I can take pictures of those plans. So if I'm needing to do some research, hey, how big was that drawer? I have it right there. How big was the bed? I can do that right there. So I can at least start making a wish list on Amazon, which I've already found, like for instance, the mattresses, found the exact size we'll need, but I'm not going to even order them yet because we need to do so much more work in here. There's no sense trying to store them someplace or put them in here and have them get hurt or dirty or damaged. So that's a great place. I'm just keeping them nice and safe in that Amazon wish list. But started up here, I was kind of looking around, measuring, seeing where the lights were, and I was kind of, checking the curtains, and we did find a little bit. We found a little bit of water damage. And I don't think it's a major water damage because I think it was a very slow over time, just a little bit of trickle, maybe seepage. Wizard's gone up top, he's looked, he really hasn't seen much, maybe just some seams that need to be addressed. But I think that being that it's been over time, being that this is a 77, that over time, whenever that leak started, it's just created some issues. And that is over here. And ironically, the other one is over there. I haven't looked at this one yet because this one is the bigger issue. I tried to close the curtains and the curtain rod was floppy here. And I was like, oh crap. So I went ahead and took a short video clip for you showing that it was a little loose particle board that rained down. Let me grab the camera and show you after I took all of that out. I didn't do it on film because it was gross. I think after I got done cleaning myself, I felt like a surgeon. I had to clean all the way up to here because it just rains down. So in the video clip, you saw that I was poking and prodding through here. That is all taken out. There's a little bit of like paper, that backing paper back there that was, I left and cut some of that out. But you can see here, it's kind of hard. There's a metal ledge here. This is where we had fixed things, which is where we mount our upper cabinet to. But one of those mounts was right here and it was mounting and it wasn't holding up anything. Luckily, let's go up above. It is seriously connected up here. There is another rail right here, this black part, and that is where we mount this to. So there's plenty of connections holding it up. It just wasn't holding it to the sidewall. So we have one still back there. So far I have found the end of where the rot was. It was right there. I've got it cut straight. One thing I need to do is kind of get back into this area and get that so I can still fit a board in there because we still have to get this structure fixed. But let me show you how much stuff fell down. Lots and lots of particle board just that disintegrates. There's nothing to it. So, and it's dry. And we actually had rain a couple of days ago. And when I came in, it was dry as can be. So I don't think it's a major leak, but definitely got a mess to clean up in here. But being that it's dry, shouldn't be too big of a deal. So other than some cleanup work I need to do and finish that one board so I can get another one in there, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm going to need to push pause on for you guys and, pull this hair back so I can get some more work done, and I'll come back and we'll fill you in on the next step. But I can't show everything. I know time lapse is really fun to watch, but it's not always easy to film on that part because you don't always have the camera positioned in the right spot. And since we shoot at 4K, that's a lot of memory. It takes a lot of time and processing. So as much as I love you guys, I need to not film every little second as well. And in reality, since this thing doesn't have a drive shaft, we can't get it into the shop. So it's kind of difficult to run extension cords and do this and try and get it, fans and things going until we get that drive shaft in. And he's working on it. He's definitely getting his parts and pieces together, but that's the one piece that'll get it in the shop. So until then, I really am kind of at a loss of how to keep this nice and cool, but that's what we got. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, ladies and gents, so it's been a couple of days since I've worked on the bus. Part of it was it got really hot here, and again, some of that airflow going through the bus, but let me show you what I got done. I've got this back installed, nice and sturdy again, but let me show you what I did and how I had to get it all done. So one thing you can see is my pile of crud, particle board pieces, has grown. The floor is gross. So today, part of that is going to be cleaning all of this up. There's no point in cleaning all that mess up until I got all of it done. Here's the new board installed. It looks much nicer. It's much more sturdy, and it actually goes in a little way. So the board itself kind of sets in there like this. Okay, I didn't need to trim this board. This is the same size that I put in there, but I had to clean out a channel all through here, and that's where all the debris came from down below. There is a bit of a gap there, and I think it's not going to be a problem structurally because I'm going from this is very sturdy, and I made sure I cleaned out to there, very sturdy. So there is a bit here. There's still particle board here. It is very sturdy, very solid. This part was rotted out, but again, the structure is coming from here and here. And as you can see, there's several screws going down that way, and there's several screws behind me holding it all in place as well. So other than that small gap, we feel like most of the sturdy, remember, the support is coming from up above. So this was just anchoring it to the wall so it doesn't go flopping and flopping as we go down the road. So there's a couple of things I did to make sure I stayed safe. I tried to stand up as much as I could because sitting down, all of this stuff would just, from here, would just rain down, rain down. And if I was seated on one of those nice chairs, which would have been comfortable, it all rained into my eyes. So I donned some great looking safety glasses that are oh so sexy, just to make sure if I was working underneath here. So most of the time I was up here using just a short little stubby flat screwdriver, and I was reaching in here and scratching, scooping it out with my hand, scooping it out so it's raining, raining, raining. So I got as much out as I could with this guy. Then I got a more standard size flat screwdriver, much like this one. I can't find the one I exactly use, but it was a flat screwdriver like this, same length, and I was able to scratch and pound and get it all chiseled out to get a nice saw and get all that soft material out. So now it's nice, sturdy, and I screwed it into place. So the fiberglass here, this is a leather wrapped fiberglass, is sturdy in place and bolted it in. One of the tricky parts was up through here, took a picture of it, to screw it into the metal railing, kind of hard when the roof is like this and it's got a nice little angle here and you're trying to screw in. So that's supposed to be a little bit of an issue, but nothing major. And that just got put in with a nice bolt, anchored in place. So this is now done. I will paint the board under here just so it matches. And also then there's some curtain railing that will go back into place that I'll screw in. Then we'll put the curtains back up. But I think I'm going to launder the curtains. One of the reasons I noted that there was a problem is that there was a bit of a stain mark on on the curtain that was here. And I thought, oh, that's not going to work. I need to go get that washed. And as I was trying to pull the curtain, on the rope, it was kind of sagging, and I was like, oh, this is what is going on. So we have solved one of our water leaks. Still have the one over there, but before I move over there, I think I'm going to tackle this curling wallpaper. Let me show you. So we saw that this was curling when we first got the RV. It's kind of hard to hide. And so Wizard has got me some special glue that he uses in the interior of cars, because you can't just use regular glues. They had used up here like some silicone and some hot glue, and we're going to see that when I get to some other places in the bus. I just, one piece, one part at a time. But that doesn't work because the interior of an RV or a car gets hot and cold and hot and cold, and those items respond to heat especially. So I've got material I'll be able to put on here. He's got some glue that is especially for cars and obviously RVs then. I will have to pop this part out just a little bit so I can tuck that underneath. It doesn't quite reach to the top, so we're going to have to figure out how do we adjust this. But again, can't do that until we get this done. So I got my work clothes on still. Different set. Let me go get some work done and I'll come back to you guys. So it's a new day. Can't do this all in one day. It gets just too hot here in Kansas, and I really do wish I might be in Ketchikan right now. Even though it's a cool day here in Kansas, there's just not enough breeze going through the bus to keep you very cool, especially in the day when it's, this big metal can of, heat brewing, mess in here. So we work pretty much in the mornings. Now we've worked on a couple of other spots. One is I've got the wallpaper back up. Let's take a peek. So you can see it's not quite perfect because it's kind of hard to get that to go up, but it does look a whole lot better. It's not curling down like it used to. I had to use super glue. That's what the wizard suggested to use. That works well in high temperatures and cold temperatures and everything in between. So it looks really good. To help get that to stick up there, I actually used a pencil and I just kind of pushed it up against that top bead, just kind of help hold it in place for a couple of reasons. It extended how much I could push, and just only in pushing in two spots and trying to do all my fingers at one time, but it also kept my fingers away because remember it is super glue and I kind of wanted to keep my fingers and not leave them attached to the bus. So that was one nice, if it glued, it would have glued to the pencil. So the fingers did okay, except for this side. This side got a boo-boo, ripping out all that stuff over here. This guy, I keep hurting him. I need to put a Band-Aid on him. But we've got that part done. The next thing we need to really focus on is taking out this upholstery. Let's take a peek at it up close because it's not doing so good. So as we see on this chair, you can see that this back section is in really sorry shape. And I really think that's due to the fact that it's right there by the stairs. I really bet that when people were walking up, they just grabbed that to help pull them up. And over time, it definitely caused some problems. But as we move down, the rest of the chair is looking pretty good. The oak on it is in good shape. And as we move down, you'll see that we have the legs, and I'll be honest, I've gotten a little start on them. I've got all that top screws out, but one thing, they are superficial. There's no way those tiny little screws could have held this chair in place as we're going down the road. So they are just for appearances. I will be getting those out in just a second. I hopefully can do that on camera for you so you guys can actually see some time lapse going on, because this is actually doable in time lapse. As we look at the other chair, it's in pretty good shape structurally. Now, cloth-wise, no, not so good. We got a little tear right there. Got some rub on here. And that may be people walking and getting into that seat over and over and over again. That would be the side that would have rubbed getting over there. As we move down, this one has an interesting way of attaching it. Bolts to the wheel well. And I said bolts. Yes, it does attach to the actual wheel well, which meant that the nuts were in the wheel. And I'll show you that in a second. And they are some impressive bolts. Nice long suckers to go all the way through the floorboard. Now, to make them come out, I had to use a vice grips to hold them in place so I could be on the outside and it'd stay in place and they're not just spinning. So it did take a little bit of work. Let me go ahead and show you what it's like out there. It's quite the reach to get back there. Here we are at the tire. Let's go ahead and move in a little bit. Let the camera get a second to adjust. There we go. And you can see that those light spots in the black abyss up there, that is where the bolts are coming down. And that's pretty much straight above the tire. So not terribly hard to reach. Just had to get all of that foam out of the way. And I said foam. Every inch of this undercarriage is been sprayed with a foam and then painted black. So it is well insulated. So they obviously did that after everything was done. And so I had to scrape and get a little bit out of the way. It won't really affect sound or anything or insulation because it's such a small amount. But there we are there. As we move back, there we can see that there are the two lighter ones. There's no bolts sticking out because I've already taken them out and put them on the carpet up there. But that was quite the reach to get all the way back there. It didn't take too much chiseling out to get to them as well. So that part is done. So now let's get back in there and let's take that seat out. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Go ahead and get these guys out. No sense shipping them off to our upholstery guy. So that was pretty easy. Let's go ahead and tackle the other side as well. Okay, there we go. That's it. Definitely got some squished carpet underneath here, but now we've got both of these chairs out of the way. So now that I've got both of those chairs taken out, I'm going to collect all of the pieces and parts, all those screws and bolts and things. Don't know if I'll use all those bolts again, probably not, but they're nice to have to know how long do they need to be. I don't know, can't remember. Well, because it's probably going to take maybe a month to get those back, maybe a little longer. We don't know. Haven't talked to the upholstery guy to give us a timeline of how long it's going to take to get them done. So it's always nice to keep everything together. One thing the wizard's like, hey, you should work on this and this and this. It's like, no, 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 no. We've decided that let's focus on the front and let's kind of slowly just work our way to the back. Obviously working from up to down as well. So the carpet, as lovely as it is with the little zigzag patterns in it, is charming. It's definitely dated, and it definitely has a bit of a smell that, I mentioned that in the last video. People are like, oh no, the smell, you've given me smell-o-vision. It's not like it's horrible. It just smells old. It's not the mold. We saw mold over there on that other cushion. That cushion's going to be out in just a little bit. That's the next thing to go. But if you've ever been to maybe somebody older's home and it kind of has that musty-ish kind of smell, just kind of old stuff, old furniture, old wood, old material, that's kind of what this smells like. So it's not like, oh my God, hideous, I'm going to throw up. It just kind of has a little bit of a age smell to it. So the next thing that needs to go is the love seat. And as much as I want to give you a time lapse, that one's going to take a lot because it's so long. It's got to be about 5 feet long, and there's just about 100 screws, I feel like. So let me go ahead and get some of that work done, and I'll come back to you guys in just a little bit. So I was able to pull this sofa out, and it was just held together with some L brackets on the underneath. So other than laying on the not so clean carpet, it was actually pretty easy to do. So let me go ahead and set that aside, and there we go. Let me set this up. You can see that it also had some little brackets, because obviously when this was fully extended, there's just no way it can hold up. So it had to have these legs in place to keep it from, breaking off. And it's got some nice kind of the technology I think you would maybe see like in a dining room table. It just pulls out as we go. So I'll push these back in. Also put the screws that held this together with these L brackets. I will put those in the base. So they'll be there because there's nothing wrong with them. Even though they're old, they're just fine. Unfortunately, I've got the back ready to go. But of course there's one stripped out screw. So I'm gonna have to tackle that next. So let me get this and put this in the shop, and then I'll start working on that back section. It is now loose between what looks like really new screws, nice shiny panhead screws, to a couple of flat screws that were nice and rusty, to the stripped out screw as well that was not quite so new and shiny. So looks like they've been in and out of here a few times. Not so sure what they were doing or why they needed to do it, but this is now loose and can come out. So now when we fix this side, because remember there's water damage on this side, we're not spilling it all over the sofa. And I know we're going to get it reupholstered, but that doesn't mean I need to trash it before we send it off to our upholstery guy. I don't want to be rude to the guy. We're working with him in his retirement, so we want to make sure we don't overload him too badly. But as we look in here, one of the things that's kind of interesting that's not up in the front seats is seatbelts. There are no seatbelts up here, and that's one of the things I've told Wizard, we have to have seatbelts. I don't feel secure, safe, not in a seatbelt. So it's interesting that they have seatbelts here for 3 people, but none at the driver's or the passenger seat in the captain's chairs. So that's kind of interesting. So that's all I've got for this week. Gonna get this guy out, get this taken care of, work on up there, but that's what we have so far. You're gonna have to tune back in to catch the rest of the story, but keep following. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. But I think I need to maybe declutter a little bit, maybe hop in the bath, and of course, put that Band-Aid on. So see you guys later. Thanks for watching.